here we are at Six Figure Mentors Momentum Day. We're in the Sheraton Skyline Hotel out at Heathrow, and we just want to ask a few of them about their fears, because you might resonate with some of them and they might actually be some of the same yourself.
The major fear that I had was in my own ability. I suppose coming into a sphere that's was completely new to me, and I was a bit of a technophobe anyway. And to know if I had the ability, I suppose, to learn these skills.
I think one of my biggest fears probably was actually becoming more available to the world in general, because I'd gone through a really long stage of depression, like 8 or 9 years. So my biggest challenge was to come out and express myself. The second thing was that, am I good enough to do this? You know, am I good enough to interact with so many people who really are making quite a big success out of what they do?
There was many, but the main fears that I had were first around fear of judgment. So what were my colleagues or ex-colleagues going to think about me taking on this new venture and going down this path when I'm coming from a six-figure career and I'm like doing this, you know, this mad online business thing. You know, what's going to happen if I fail, right? What's going to happen? And even got to what's going to happen when I fail.
I couldn't speak ever in public or even stand up at my own wedding and do a speech.
We did the wedding and I had to do the speech kind of on behalf of both of us.
My fears were, number one, is this something I can do? I believed in the opportunity, but could I do it? And then it was only by listening to yourselves, and it was credit to yourselves, and I give the credit to you, that I connected with you, the people, which is exactly the mindset that you market through the people, not necessarily through the product. So my initial fear was, could I do it? Is my state of mind and my personal situation strong enough, and am I strong enough in my situation to take myself forward?
Where should I start? The fact that the nearest thing I had to a computer was my PlayStation 4. The fact that I couldn't even set up my own email. Fear of even putting myself out there, the fear of being complete technophobe, and the fear of being judged.
It's definitely about the fact that it can't be true and you can't really make money online, and it's a scam, basically, were my thoughts. Obviously, when you get to know more about it, like you guys have got a book out, so it was easy. I could pick the book up, I could learn about what exactly you're doing to allay some of my fears.
I just thought, am I going to be scammed? Am I going to be ripped off? But, you know, I knew something had to change, so I thought I'll take the risk and find out what it is.
I was quite sceptical about this as well, but as soon as I started, it was, yeah, very different.
It's amazing how now the fear has kind of dwindled away, because whereas the technology elements of the business is so well covered, you're so well taught about the different processes that you need to go into, that you actually find that those technical skills that you learn aren't the biggest part of this journey.
I realised that those big fears weren't actually as big as what I thought they were. And whilst it was quite difficult to sort of overcome them, it wasn't something that was going to be as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
I look back now and like it's really crystal clear to me that all of that was just made up in my own head. It didn't exist anywhere but in my own head. And it just took letting go and just heading towards it to realise that this big cloud of fear that I'd created really was nothing at all.
It got that big, the perception. It's like, well, I'm not even going to try. But now I try everything now.
When we came out of Brand Incubator on the last evening, I'd nipped off to the ladies, and when I came back, Steve was stood with the mic with Alex there, and he said, I've got something to say to you. I came out the ladies like, oh my God, what's going on here? Yeah. And he said, I just want to do my wedding speech. And of course, I'm in floods. And this one was just saying everything that he'd wanted to say at the wedding.
False evidence appearing real, you know, fear in itself. I mean, I was able to actually articulate my own understanding that, you know, I was only making the mountain out of the molehill because I was not open to sort of like putting my hand up, raising your hand for help. The feeling of community and actually being able to work with the SFM team has really changed and probably dissolved the initial fears. The initial fears don't exist anymore.
All of these things are things that you're making up. You're judging it by basing it by looking at someone else and you're saying, that person's so fantastic, that person's so great, and you're creating this as almost an excuse of stopping yourself from doing something that you know you need to do. You're basically creating your own limitations. I knew that if I didn't do it, you can't overcome that fear and you're never going to get to where you want to get to.
The perspective now is totally changed because obviously when I took on the journey, I was thinking, oh, it's marketing, it's a way I can earn money, etc. But the journey is so much more than that, and I totally believe that it's life-changing.
I realise now it's a lot of it is just down to the sort of way that things are reported in the news, yeah, and how you're meant to feel about things on the internet. But now I'm actually involved in it, and now the more I get involved, the more I find out about it, and the more I actually end up doing the stuff, I realise it's just like any other business, and I shouldn't fear it in any. There's no fear in any shape or form.
The fears change, so it's not necessarily a fear of not being able to have a successful business. I think there's an element of fear of the belief of yourself to get to that point now. So there's definitely been a shift, but it's not as, I don't think it's as scary as it first was.